Hello?
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 If you can hear this, it's not too late. I return to warn you. This is Time Pop, a podcast that discusses time travel and pop culture. There are spoilers. I've seen the future, and nothing is sacred to these folks. Your past, present, and future are sure to be ruined. Even if you could go back in time, as I have, you will never forget what you are about to hear. You've been warned. This is Time Pop.
We have to get into this. I cannot pretend to preamble and not talk about this.
Okay.
Okay. let me get somewhere this movie doesn't deserve. Welcome, chrononauts, as we guide you through the experience of time travel using pop culture as our Swedish time busters. We will be your constants. I am Des.
I'm Scott. And
This is
Time
Pop.
Pop.
This is Time Pop.
Is it Time Pop?
You signed up for it, fuckers.
Are you talking to them or us?
Talking to
Who's
everybody.
we're all in this together, folks. We're going on a ride. We'll come out the other end.
It's like one of those e-rides at Disney, as Vinny would say.
Oh boy. What are we doing today, Des?
Today in the present, we will be discussing my science project. From the past, you will listen to it in the future, which is now my science project, released 1985. I mean, we were making good movies in 1985.
Uh-huh.
94 minutes, starring John Stockwell, as you all know, as Cougar from Top Gun.
Yeah.
Danielle von Zerneck, Fisher Steven, the problematic Fisher Steven.
Always problematic, talented guy all over the place, but he never quite hit his.
Well, you know what? When you co-opt a nation's personality for all of your roles, things are going to happen.
So he goes from Italian to Indian. Is there anyone else that he's kind of overdone?
In this, I mean, he's I'm pretty sure he's some kind of Nordic, which he's probably, I don't even know if he's Nordic, but I know in Lost he's some Nordic human being. Who knows? I'm sure he's playing some stereotype in the Blacklist. And we cannot forget the great Dennis Hopper.
Yeah.
Is Dennis Hopper the previous generation's Nicolas Cage?
No.
Are you sure?
He never had an action movie career. He didn't.
But think about, is there another actor who
someone who had like a wild edge and then kind of became a sellout, you mean? Is that?
Yeah, could have been good, like could have gone the Oscar route and probably won some awards and been highlighted for his.
He's had a really interesting career. That guy, he's in Rebel Without a Cause. Like you could see him as a little fuck greaser, and then obviously the 60s he was in his heyday, and then 80s kind of finding himself, and then the 90s, like once he was the villain in Speed, it was like a whole new level for him. Yeah, he's an interesting cat. It was.
Answer me one question, Scott.
Oh yeah. Please
tell me Ari watched this with you.
Oh no, she did not watch this with me. I don't know. I don't think she would.
I knew she would not have. She would. I could see her starting it. I could see her just being like, yeah, whatever. I'll watch a dumb time travel movie. And then, but there's no way she finishes this. That's why I wanted to hear when she checked out.
No. She would have checked out in the first 10 minutes, really. So this is interesting. So as we all know, I'm a child of the 80s and 90s, but I'm a film aficionado of the time. I spent all my time watching TV as a kid and HBO. And this movie is one of those that never made it on my radar. Heard about it, although there's a few films here and there that like I just never seen. And like people are like, what? And this was it came just the title. I knew about it. It just never happened for me. And so just recently, I don't know how I was looking up time travel movies, but I came across this and then I just looked it up and I was like, oh, how have we not done this?
Yeah.
This is it's a known 80s film. That's like, super in my wheelhouse. It does involve time travel. Oh my God, how perfect.
If this movie comes out in 83 or 87, I would have seen it.
Right.
But 85 is the high watermark.
Yeah.
of movies.
Right.
And if you're trying to squeeze into HBO in 1986, good luck.
So 85, I mean, the way they list it on Wikipedia is like, it was the heels of other teen sci-fi comedy films such as Back to the Future, Real Genius, and Weird Science. It did not perform as well as those films. When Desmond and I picked this, I think a week ago, we were excited. And I remember at the last second.
Well, Scott's been like I said, Scott, this was a big miss in Scott's, as far as Scott was concerned. He's like, 1985 science fiction.
How have I not?
Time travel. Like, this is a hole that must be filled.
That's what, yeah. That's what anyone said. Yeah. So we looked at the last second on Rotten Tomatoes and it showed like 13%. And I just did one of those like, oh, okay. Well, I mean, there's bad movies that I like that Desmond likes, and maybe this could be that. Although I would believe that if it's at 29%, 13, that's considerably low. That means you were watching moving garbage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Garbage Pail Kids probably has 13. Like,
oh yeah, totally.
Like Grease 2 is probably 38%. It's like 32% or something. You know, Grease 2 is probably. I'm just trying to give everybody a range of what we're dealing with. Okay.
This is MST3K level bad.
Yeah.
Like it is. If they did this movie on MST3K, it would not surprise. It's a little bit too new. It almost has a budget. It has actors you recognize, so it hasn't quite slumped to MST3K. But it is. You know, we see so many time travel movies. They don't have a budget. They really don't know how to write a script. You know, but they've got an interesting time travel device that they want to play around with that makes it fun. Or maybe it's a high budget 1980s movie and they've got all this money, but they didn't get any real science fiction writers, so the time travel sucks. So on and so. This just on every level, it was a rushed script. It was not well directed. The special effects were, I mean, actually the special effects for the time weren't well used.
Yeah. It was okay. It was fine.
They looked fine. They just didn't use them wisely.
If we're to take our criteria of a good time travel film, I don't know if this meets any of them anywhere. we talk about, is it creative with its time travel? Is it unique? Is that interesting? Is the science interesting? You know, is it the rewatchability? Is it just like a hot tub time machine? Is it fun? Is it Groundhog Day? Want to watch it again? Does it change our ideas about like time travel? Does it explore some fun things? Is the action great? Is the comedy great? Is it emotional? I can safely say this hit zero. This hit zero things.
I've never been more sad than I'm on the wagon than I am right now, because I would love, Kelly just decided she's going away for the weekend. I would love to say I have an ounce of weed and a case of beer. Movie starts at 8. Just like get everyone over it, because that's the only way this is fun to watch, is with 8 friends who are getting progressively as non-monosyllabic as this movie.
So I just looked up Jonathan R. Boutwell. There's only 3 projects listed under him. There's My Science Project, Last Starfighter.
Oh, which directed?
I will actually. He may be a producer, maybe.
Because I think we could. It's like a Galaxy Quest time pop movie.
No, he didn't direct it. He produced it.
Isn't The Last Starfighter like a? It's like there's 4 seconds of
Last Starfighter is another one that, like, in the 80s, for me, whatever reason, that one didn't make it into my wheelhouse. I know that people are like, oh my God, it's classic. I did watch it for my first time and someone else watched it their second time, and it did not hold up. I thought Last Starfighter was also not good, but I didn't grow up watching it. And the third film from Jonathan Boutwell is Theodore Rex, which looks like it's about Whoopi Goldberg. And like someone who's like a dinosaur man.
Yeah.
He directed this one.
Wow.
1995. Ooh, this is quite a collection of films. Oh no, this looks horrible. I have never heard of this. Okay,
I've never seen it, but I'm aware of it.
Hey, everyone, do yourself a favor. Don't watch the film. Just go look up Theodore Rex. Just look at the poster images of this dinosaur centaur man hugging Whoopi Goldberg. Wow. Okay. Anyway, sorry, we're going on tangents. This film, We could not stream it, so I don't know about you. You watched it on YouTube like I did?
Dude, so here's how you can tell it's a bad movie. Well, the surprising thing
How?
is it's on DVD, which is a shock. You can get I think you can even get a Blu-ray of this, which
Okay.
that means there's definitely some kind of a cult following. So there's a lot of movies that are impossible to find, and so someone is polite enough to upload it to YouTube and hope it doesn't get taken down. Fine. Not only that, there is an official My Science Project link to the HD version of the free YouTube viewing. So like the people in the know have put this movie up for free because they know that Netflix is not going to pay them.
Wow.
Did you find
there was like 3 versions on YouTube, by the way.
Did you find the HD?
I did the one. No, I did the one. It was actually like it was a little bit boxed into a smaller shape, so it actually didn't look as distorted.
Okay.
There was an HD one?
The HD one is well worth the find. It's the easiest way to find it is if you just search My Science Project, there's like an official link, and then that link, well, if you just go on YouTube, like it's like
You won't find it.
Surprisingly, it's like the 20th link down. You got to scroll and scroll and scroll. I'm trying to find it right now because my
I appreciate your dedication.
my TV just went to, because I was just like, yeah, it was funny. I started to watch it and I'm like, whatever, it's a terrible movie. And then I'm like, well, one, I really wanted closed captions. Like I really wanted subtitles. And of course, the only subtitles are just the AI generated ones. So they're still not very good. So yeah. So we have to go through this movie a little bit.
Yeah, let's do it.
So yeah, so I found it. So and there's a new thing I found. So the HD version is found on a YouTube channel called Sci-fi Punishers. And I can only imagine it is science fiction that is as punishing to watch. I have not looked at the channel at all, but I am going to peruse it because if they have the high def HD link to My Science Project, then you have my attention and I want to know what else you have. So I will be checking that out. It starts off, it's just like I said, they got a bunch of people together and they were like, hey, have you seen Weird Science and Back to the Future? Okay, start writing. And they just started cramming. It's got the quirky dad. It's got the new age kind of slutty stepmom. It's got you know what I love? I'm starting to love more and more about 80s movies is the flat-haired nerdy girl, which by today's standards is just what hair looks like. In the 80s, they're like, don't put any product in her hair. Like, just make it flat and nerdy.
We didn't have product. Like Moose came out in the late 80s.
No. Mid 80s girls were hairspray.
Spray. Right.
It was all about the high hair, and that
right.
The cool girls always had thick, puffy hair, and then the nerd.
It took the first half of the 80s to get there, though. And you either hairsprayed or nothing. And then Moose is like 86, 88, and then gel starts coming into the picture.
I just either way.
It was dry. It's dry hair, folks. It was hard times.
Either way, I love it because they accentuate this girl's nerdiness by giving her flat hair, and she looks amazing.
Do you know who she is? I mean, she's been in a bunch of films, but she's Donna in La Bamba. Richie Valens' girlfriend.
Oh, no way.
For what that's worth. That's like she's been in a bunch, but that's.
I kept wanting her to be, even though I kept looking it up. I was like, it's got to be the nerd in Meatballs 2. It's got to be her. It's got to be the Pinky Peeker.
No, it's not Pinky. I know who that is. It's not Pinky.
Yeah, it's not her.
So 80s, I don't know what happened, why we're so obsessed with like the nerd jock struggle. I mean, were there not nerds in the 70s or 60s, or it wasn't labeled, but the 80s, maybe computers came. We could do a podcast on nerd films, right? Not just Revenge of the Nerds or Can't Buy Me Love or whatever the fuck. And I wrote down
Can't Buy Me Love in my notes.
We're just really obsessed with this like caste system in school, and like we really felt it, and it really pops up in these 80s comedies.
Well, because I think in 70s it was just like there's nerds and there's jocks, and that's fine. And then in the 80s they're like, well, maybe we're not all that different. We all go to the same football games and we all play the same video games. We all watch the same movies. Like maybe it's not as binary. And so they started to toy with it a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Anyway, so it's in there. It's got the sidekick, right? The comedy sidekick that the film relies on. Everyone's got it. Teen Wolf had, what's his name? Styles.
I wrote that
He's
down
no
in my
Styles.
notes. He
You
is
did?
no style.
I mean, every film had that, but he's trying to be that. This is like, it's like you said, it's an average 80s movie that did not try hard. I felt like if I was a 6th, 7th grader and I was trying to write an 80s movie plot, I could have written this. They're just trying to put in the basic tropes. There's no character. There's no likability.
Well, and it's just like it just shows again how terrible the script is, because at so many times, like just repeat that thing you said.
Yeah,
just say that
it's
again.
It's not too hard.
Just say that again, and it's like he could have been okay if it was less repetitive. He might have been the levity that this movie needed.
The main character, he's just unfortunate. He's been in other films. He's been better. He's just dry. He has all we know is that he's obsessed with cars. That's the character. You don't have to go too deep. They're just like, you're obsessed with cars, go. No, don't worry about who you are, what you want with love, just cars. All he cares about is cars. And that's the character arc, is they start him off obsessed with cars. There's nothing he's interested except for cars. He even talks about the girl compared to a car, and he made her build her a car. And at the end, he has this girl, he finds love, and he goes, it's just a car.
Yeah.
And that's our arc.
Yeah.
That is the arc of this character. Was obsessed with cars, now realizes there's more to life than cars.
Now it's just this guy, like, he's not even the super cool guy that's like getting chicks with his cars.
He's not, right?
He's just...
We don't know.
So into cars that he doesn't even have time for chicks, man.
Like, if you set him up as like the lovable doofus, like the Bill and Ted's guy, or you set him up as like the Ferris Bueller school pranker, or you set him up as the popular guy, or there's so many ways you can go.
I couldn't believe that he can't buy me love her and be like, hey, you help me with my science project.
Yeah.
I'll take you to prom.
Yeah.
Which they almost set up. Like, she's like, she kind of can't buy me loves him. And what does she give him? Can
I say my favorite moment in the film?
Oh,
so by the way, we're jumping around, folks. I see the film or don't, I don't know. But so clearly, this guy, whatever, I'll just do it fast. He's a mechanic. He's obsessed with cars. She tries to get this girl breaks up with him, who's like the weirdest character, the girlfriend. You're like, is she supposed to be pretentious or into like new age? We don't know. And then the nerd female is trying to get like a news quote from him for the yearbook because he hasn't done anything. We don't know if this guy's popular. We don't know if he's unpopular. We just know he just does his own thing. He's obsessed with cars. At any rate, he goes on an adventure with this girl throughout. She ends up asking him on a date, and to make his ex-girlfriend jealous, he accepts it. Later on in the film, like, they're getting close, and he has the moment where he looks at her and he's like, how come we've never talked before now?
How have we been in the same class for 4 years?
But we've never talked to each other. He says, I don't know. I guess you're obsessed with cars and I'm obsessed with books.
Nerds and gearheads, people. Did you have an auto shop in your high school?
No.
That is such a blast from the past.
No, we had like tech. I think you could do like woodworking. I don't think it was an auto shop. No,
we did not at our high school. There was a 4th high school in my town where all the other 3 high schools, if you wanted to go learn a trade, you could spend half your day there, which is where I started being on the radio. They had a radio station there.
There it is.
And I started doing. They had a TV and radio thing. They built a house every year. Like, they had an electrician's course. They had a construction course, and so the school would build a whole house and sell
That's
it
incredible.
Every year. The cool thing is I did a full circle because they also had a like where you could go, what's the word I'm thinking of? Like, go learn how to teach kids. Like, it was kind of the beginning of a teaching. So they had a preschool there with real children. So I started in preschool. I went to this high school where high school girls learned how to, teach small children. And then 18 years later, I went to my senior high there. So there you go, people.
Wow, there it is. That's full story.
And then I dropped out 3 months before graduation. So smart one.
Yeah.
All the education, no diploma.
If you're going to do it, at least wait to the last second. So you've wasted all your time on both sides.
All I had to do was show up for 40 more days of school.
Hey, my story's better. I left my 4th year of college, one or two classes short, and they said, stay the summer and finish it up. And I said, okay. And then I just fucked off and didn't do it and left. How about that? 4 years of college and then just like, and that's why we're here. That's why we're here. That's why, folks, you get that. Otherwise, Desmond and I would be like performing surgery right now.
Everyone, please subscribe to our Patreon. $3. $3.
Please, I need bread.
12
Please.
episodes for $3.
I'm so hungry. So yeah, the film. It's hard even to express why it's so bad. There's so many 80s films that just follow the tropes. It's so dry. There's nothing to connect to. So we talked about our main guy. He's just obsessed with cars. There's no character. We got the nerd girl. She's just a nerd, everything. And then he's got his sidekick buddy.
Oh, she has a retainer.
Yeah, she has a retainer. And she likes books and she has good grades. And then his sidekick buddy, who's like this over-Italian fucking wise mouth. And at first I thought he's one of those guys that talks like he's a ladies' man, but apparently he kind of is.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's in a car, like he's a scrawny little shit.
Well, and we're in nowhere, Wisconsin. We don't know where we are, but and this guy's from New York. Hey, he just came from Brooklyn.
Yeah, they told us at some point where they were, I think.
Oh, did they say Indiana? Oh, no, they are in California. They are.
Yeah.
No, Arizona.
Anyway.
You're right. They do say Arizona.
His buddy.
So he's like, and he's like it's funny because he knows everybody and he seems comfortable, but he also talks like his parents just died and he had to move in with his uncle yesterday in Arizona.
Yeah, that's accurate. And his buddy, they're in Arizona, I guess. And his buddy is just like, you just took him out of fucking Brooklyn with his Italian family, Veni Bonaduce, with his family, always making the wise cracks.
Hey,
always want the ladies.
You know how I can tell this date sucks? Because you haven't turned into a pepperoni pizza yet.
Ooh, that's a real line, folks. At least he went for it. That guy has the most character out of any of the characters.
Yeah.
Everyone else is dry as a bone. This guy is over the top. But he's trying. He's like, this is my character. He's wise, Italian. He's not afraid of anything. He's kind of anarchist. Woo.
And I think of all the shit that was just like, who fucking wrote this? They keep referring to killing people or dying people as being flamed.
Oh yeah.
They flamed him. Hey, let's flame him. Oh, they almost flamed me.
Oh, Jonathan R. Boutwell wrote this. Our friend wrote this, Jonathan Boutwell.
Oh, the director wrote it? Is he the only person?
He directed it, wrote it, but it's produced by Jonathan Taplin.
Like, is he the only writer? That makes sense. They're like, here's $500,000. We're shooting in a month. Get moving.
The guy who produced this also produced Mean Streets. I mean, similar. Anyway, we're starting our movie off, and I won't get into like the part with the government. I won't even get into it. But like, he's at his high school. The teacher, which is Dennis Hopper. What are you doing for your project? And it's a whole class of nerds. I'm going to do nuclear fusion. I'm going to do this. And then he goes to our hero, the lovable, like, oh, I'll figure it out. Like, it's okay. So we got like the Ferris Bueller. We got the slacker, which you can have the lovable slacker. Yeah. They don't even really go into that. And then he goes to the teacher, and the teacher's like, man, you gotta get this assignment or you don't graduate. So we got your classic 80s premise.
And of course, being the car guy, he's like, hey, I'll build a carburetor. And he's like, you can do that in your sleep. Like, impress me.
Yeah. They're setting the tone of like, because you're so good, you should be able to do something because you can build things. You go with your hands.
Yeah.
So as we're watching this, I'm like, oh, this is going to come into play. He's going to be able to fix a ship or that. And like, these talents have a reason. I've got to say, that doesn't really pay off. There's not really a point where his mechanic, like, he does turn the device on and he hooks up to a battery at one point, but it's not like, oh, thank God for you. You saved the earth because of your mechanical genius.
Well, he does outrun electricity with his car.
Yes. He's in a car because he's got a muscle car and because they go fast.
So they take the device. So he finds a device at this old airfield. He's just like, he's combing through this.
Yeah. This is on the first date with the girl, by the way. To make his girlfriend jealous, he agrees to go on a date. I don't know why that is because the ex-girlfriend is not seeing him on a date with her. She has no idea. But okay.
They go to an aircraft graveyard.
That's where they
for
go.
Their first date.
Clearly he had an agenda and he just thought he'd bring her along.
Yeah.
Because he needs to get a science project. And so he decides he's going to get something from the junkyard.
See, and that's where it'd be perfect if they just set up like, hey, you need to help me with my science project, and then I'll let people see us together. Like, it's right
or
there.
the relationship builds over that, right? She likes him. He needs someone to help him. Through that, they bond. But no.
So he falls through a trapdoor and finds the gizmo.
We got a gizmo.
Which is an electrical
lava lamp.
from Spencer's Gifts.
Oh, not a lava lamp. Yeah. The one with the electricity where you put your finger on the outside and electricity goes to your fingers.
And then he takes it to, and then that's right. He takes it to school and he's fucking with it. And they accidentally turn it on for a second. It's weird. They put it away and walk out the back door.
Isn't that where it formed the vase? So the first time they turned it on, this happened. They turned it on.
Yeah.
It formed. He put some power to it, and it forms like an Egyptian vase.
Yeah.
And then after that, I think he puts the car battery, whatever. He melts a battery, and they leave.
And does he just leave this vase in class? This priceless vase in class.
I feel like it's like a hidden room that only he works in, maybe.
No, because guys come in. That's why they leave.
You're right.
Yeah, those guys come in. They put. Oh, he does. I'm sorry. Vinny does put the vase in his. They've got little bins with their names on them, and he puts.
You go.
But
the device is there.
The device is there, and they just like nothing happens. Like we look at a clock after the device is activated. It says 1 o'clock. Guys come in. They put the device away. They walk out the back door. It's 3 o'clock.
So yeah, they had a test, and apparently 2 hours have passed when they went in. Like they missed 2 hours. It's already the end of the day,
and it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen while the device is on. Like that would have made perfect sense if the device turned on and the clock jumped ahead 2 hours, but it doesn't. The device turns on and turns off. We see a clock that says 1 o'clock. They walk out the door, and now it's 3 o'clock.
Right.
So
okay. Now we're watching. Desmond and I are both, our ears like perk up a little bit. We're like, oh, time travel dilation.
Something's happening.
Was it at this point that he already started coming up with the idea that like, oh, this must do ripple in time and space?
Pretty much. It's everybody knows
because he works on cars
instantly what's going on. And they go to the nerd and they basically start. They're like, we need a science book about time warps and stuff like that.
Yeah. So they've already assumed that this thing is a beacon of time and space. And so they asked the nerd for books on time. It doesn't help. And then they end up going to Dennis Hopper, their teacher. They're like, you got to see this.
They go. He says he's mad at them because they missed their final, and he's like, "Look, come. I'll be here doing grades tonight. You can come see me. We'll talk. Maybe we can save your grade."
Yeah.
So they go,
and
they have one of 8 arguments about who's going to plug it in.
Right.
Finally, Dennis Hopper plugs it in and instantly knows.
Didn't Dennis Hopper say that before they even plugged it in? He's like, oh, I think this might be a portal to another dimension. Like, didn't it just come out like at a random time?
Possibly.
Like, oh, that's what I think it did. Anyway, they turn it on and the electricity is bathing Dennis Hopper, who's really buying into realizing things about the cosmos. Was that a little weird for you, that scene?
I don't know. They build him up. He's the hippie man. He's Dennis Hopper.
Yeah, he hints at the 60s. Those were the days.
He calls them at one point. He gets mad at them. He goes, "What are you 4Fs doing?" Which 4Fs means not suitable for draft.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure is what 4Fs means. So he's doing...
They're really digging into his 60s references. They hired him for a reason.
So sorry. I have to back way the fuck up.
Okay.
The girlfriend who breaks up with him. How does she break up with him?
Didn't she just say, we're done?
She returned
the
mink,
the hubcap,
the mink covered steering wheel that he gave her just to carry around, not put in her car, not
because that's how his love language is in cars. Because that's all this guy cares about. They really knocked that over the head that this guy's just cars.
Oh my God.
He's like, how could she break up with me? I gave her a Toyota Supra. Like it's They really had to set this up without the payoff.
Again, we're kind of jumping all over the place. I want to just, I'm kind of glancing at my notes before I turn my page. And just,
all right, so we're back in the
hold
room.
on.
Yeah. Okay, please.
Just to say, just because I cannot forget to mention, the ADR in this movie is fucking, first of all, the whole movie, I don't think they had a microphone on set. Like,
they must have at some points.
I mean, the only reason they did is to sync, because the lip sync is actually really good. But it's just so obvious that they're in a studio with their mouth right up on the mic. Everyone sounds just like this, no matter where they are in the scene. This is what they sound like.
Oh, no.
God damn it.
Sad.
Oh, and the movie starts in 1957 with a crashed spaceship at this because that's where when he finds it, he's at this graveyard, this Air Force graveyard. And so is that when Roswell was Roswell 57, or was that?
I don't know. I think so. That sounds about right.
So I think this is basically the Roswell spacecraft, and they took it to this place. Everyone said, shut up, bury it. And then he finds it in 1985. All
right. So fast forward, our teacher is bathing in this energy glow and saying all kinds of weird shit. It's a really awkward scene. Like, I think I feel bad for Dennis Hopper in the scene a little bit. He's just like, oh, I see the cosmos. Oh, man, it all makes sense, man. And it almost looks like he's going mad and he's going to turn into a bad guy. But he's like bathing in cosmic energy and he sees all. And then ultimately he kind of disappears. Yeah.
Yes.
But his like peace symbols left behind. And like, oh, shit, we just lost our teacher.
I do not feel bad for Dennis Hopper. He brought this on himself.
Yeah, he's good. He probably wasn't doing much in the early 80s. But then comes Desmond's favorite scene, because they're like, they try to pull the power on it and they can't.
Well, they plug it into they melt another battery.
Yeah.
And so Dennis Hopper says, we need more power, and plugs it, just sticks 2 wires in an outlet. And so in theory, drawing power from the power station.
Yeah.
Dennis Hopper disappears. They unplug it. They drive.
What do they decide?
They drive to a hardware store and get some dynamite, and then get in their car and start driving to the power station. So like the electricity has had no less than a half an hour to go from the school to the power station, a few miles out into the desert.
So this is where they decide they need to beat the electricity. They can't let it take from the power station. They got to beat the electricity.
If it gets to the grid, I don't remember what they say, but if it gets to the grid,
they're just coming up with this. There's not based on, this is just what they.
Yeah. I don't know if it'll just knock the power out to everything, or if they're afraid that the whole town will turn into a warp or whatever. Either way, it doesn't matter, because he beats it.
They get the dynamite from his dad's store. Let's just get some dynamite. Let's just go blow up a power station with some dynamite.
Dun,
woo!
Dun, 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 dun.
All right, so they get it, and they do it. Well, they outrace the electricity, right?
How does he activate the dynamite, Scott?
How do you activate the dynamite? I forget.
The switch didn't work, so he plugged it into the car battery.
Oh, that's right. See? Okay, it pays off.
How does he not call it? How does Vinny not refer to this car as Christine at some point?
Right? All right, so they blow it up. They beat the it stops the power. The gizmo is shut down.
Vinny at one point is smoking a cigar in typing class.
Yeah, he's smoking a cigar all the time.
He's not actually smoking it, but he's got a half-burned cigar hanging out of his mouth in the middle of a high school class.
Is he Ralph Macchio? Is he Ferris Bueller? Is he Hannibal from the A-Team? We don't know.
And I looked it up. It was really close. I didn't actually look at Arizona, but this is the time in our lives where high school seniors could legally drink beer.
Oh, 18.
And it may have been like, by the time this movie came out, it might have been like, that's not a thing anymore. But when this movie was written and filmed, there were still some states where an 18-year-old, definitely a 19-year-old, if not an 18-year-old, could get a beer.
Wow.
And he does. He's just like, at one point, he just tells his dad, like, I'm grabbing a beer. And of course, he's drinking and driving. That's just what you did in the 80s, people.
So they get back home, and now we've got another good movie trope. We've got the police sheriff played by Richard Masur. He's a character actor that pops up a lot. For some reason, for me, the first thing that comes to my mind is he's the dad in License to Drive.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
With the mustache. He popped up in a lot of stuff, but here he is as kind of like a Sam Elliott, hard-ass, Western cowboy hat, mustache, sheriff, sergeant type.
Like almost like FBI style, but still local sheriff.
But he's got like Dirty Harry. He's like, come on, just give me the excuse.
I dare you.
Yeah, when I find I'm going to take someone down, I don't believe you, kid. I got this all figured out.
I mean, the fact that he didn't, tell Vinny to not drop the soap was... Oh, and just to make sure this movie is in the right time, they drop no less than 2 of the wrong kind of F-bombs, people. Because... And I think Vinny drops both of them.
Yeah.
Because why wouldn't he?
So they're looking for the disappearing teacher. They get both of our friends. They don't get the nerd girl. He calls the nerd girl and says, hey, get the gizmo because then we can show it to police and that'll prove my innocence. And when she gets to the school, the nerd that they had asked about the books found the gizmo. And he's already like, oh, they asked about time travel? Here's a gizmo. It must be time travel.
And the nerds find out that I keep on wanting to call him John. That's not his name. What's his name in the movie? Our main character?
The main guy? Is it Michael? Michael.
They find out that his car broke down and he had to get a tow into town from Vinny. And so So they take this as like someone that a week ago they probably never would have fucked with because they would have gotten the shit kicked out of him. Now the fact that his car breaks down, they are vandalizing him and his vehicle, and they're ready to take him down because if his car can break down, he is vulnerable to us even. So they put on.
He doesn't want to admit it broke down because he's supposed to know about cars. And what would that say about him?
How, in the HD version, the upgraded version of this movie, how are those Stormtrooper helmets not blurred out?
Oh.
They are just wearing Stormtrooper and Darth Vader helmets like they gave George Lucas a check.
I don't think they did. I think George Lucas, there was so much of that happening. Oh, yeah. Remember the question when they asked him in the survey? They're like, when did you see Jedi? And he's like, I never saw Jedi. And like, what do you mean you've never saw Jedi?
Oh, I don't remember that.
At the beginning, when she's first quizzing him, they're talking about it, and he's too into cars. He didn't see Return of the Jedi. Okay, anyway, we're moving on. So
this movie's growing on me, Scott. This conversation's really...
So the nerd turns on the machine, and what it does is it opens up a big space-time vortex in the school.
It turns the school into a vortex.
Yes. Now, this felt a whole lot like Ghostbusters to me at this point. I don't know if you got those vibes.
Oh.
It's a fucking Ghostbusters ripoff. What the building turns into, and then the 3 guys at the end getting in there to save the day. Very Ghostbusters-y.
They copied and pasted some of those special effects.
Yeah, I don't get Back to the Future vibes, but maybe Real Genius and Ghostbusters.
Just the time travel. That's all it is.
But time travel, does that happen?
No.
Dilation, whatever.
I mean, they interact. I mean,
they went 2 hours in the future, and then there's a space-time vortex. They interact with people from the past and the future.
Other people definitely travel to them, but they never go anywhere.
They did go 2 hours into the future.
They did go 2 hours into the future.
This fits in our podcast, but by a fucking hair, by a falling out tiny pube hair.
We're doing Galaxy Quest next because Galaxy Quest is a way better movie and it has even less time travel, and I don't care. You know what? Fuck that. We're doing Multiplicity.
So we're getting into Act 3, my friends. When they activate this machine, there's a big blackout in town. When a blackout happens, it's really easy to escape the police station. So they escape and they run out. I guess in the
Vinny steals a cop car.
Yeah.
Because why not?
In the explosion, Ellie gets kind of knocked out. Yeah. Vinny steals a cop car. This guy's cajones.
They're just like, oh, this is an action movie now. We need the girl to just stay here.
Yeah. So the nerd makes, is it Sherman? Is that his name? Yeah, Sherman.
Yeah.
And like, he's like, guys, you got to go rescue her. And they got out of the police station and they stole a police car. Why not make your situation worse?
Yeah.
And have them find you by stealing a police car. And so they get to the school. Sherman's like, you got to rescue her. They're like, all right, now we're fucking tough guys. And they go in. And I don't remember so there's a lot of fog, a lot of smoke in the school to show that it's a big vortex and things out of place. Is the Vietnam thing the first thing they fight?
Let me see. Where's my list of what they
I thought they fought someone else first. Oh, yeah.
Cleopatra or Nazis?
Yeah.
They walk past some Nazis.
Yep.
Then Cleopatra wanders past them.
Yep. There's like a warrior guy from like some medieval time, like a centurion type. It doesn't look Roman.
He's just kind of with Cleopatra, isn't he?
Oh, I don't remember them just seeing him by himself. He was killing somebody and then he went after them.
Vinny gets a boner for Cleopatra.
Yeah.
And then, which would have been kind of interesting. I wish he would have went and made out with Cleopatra. That would have been something. But instead, a Neanderthal breaks through the door.
Yeah, the Neanderthal. That's the first one.
And attacks them.
The Neanderthal is the first one, I think. Anyway, now it feels a bit like Bill and Ted's, where there's all these historical types throughout history. We got Egyptian, we got medieval, we got Vietnam, we got Cro-Magnon man. And now these guys are fighting, some trained warriors. They fight the Neanderthal, that's fine. The like centurion type is probably really well trained, and these little high schoolers handle. I think, doesn't Michael get him with his own sword?
And they never use the only script wise, they stole the cop car so they would have a gun.
Oh.
But then in the end, this isn't a killing movie. So, when they could have probably just pumped some lead.
I thought he does kill, doesn't he? When he's fighting the centurion type, he turns the sword, he puts the sword in him.
Well, later,
I think Michael's fighting with him and he turns his sword around and puts it in the guy.
I think they don't end up killing until their life is fully
threatened.
Like at the beginning when it's just weird and like it doesn't seem like the people from the past are fighting them. It seems like
they kill though. They shoot people. They stab people.
Well, they shoot the future zombies, the apocalyptic zombies, and that's why we have apocalyptic zombies.
What about the Vietnam guys?
I
think they shot them.
I don't know if
they got their guns from them.
Shots are fired. But I think it's more of a like knocked out, took your. I mean, at some point the American. So these three Vietnamese guys are escorting this American prisoner. They get in a fight. I'll know here in a minute or not whether there's definitely death. But then the American army guy just goes, "Thanks a lot, guys. See you later." And goes into the gymnasium.
So different times are coming through, and our heroes are fighting valiantly and well without weapons for the most part. Once they do the Vietnam, then they get their guns, and then they're fighting like they're trained, like army guys, like ducking behind, taking out real trained military folks. And then, yes, we do come upon some future post-apocalyptic mutants. So now it's also like Mad Max, and they take those guys out. So they're leveling up. They're making it through their levels of the video game.
Okay, they definitely kill the Centurion.
Yeah,
and then
with the sword, and then I think they shoot the Vietnam guys and the mutants. It seems like a movie where they should not be killing, but this movie wasn't that well thought out.
And they kind of question it. Like at one point, they're just. I feel like if they already killed the Centurion, then they must.
But then how? So they make it through all these things of time. Everything's in this vortex. He finds the girl who's wakes up and is totally fine and down to run and all those things. And then how does he stop? They see the machine. Does he just fiddle with it? There's not like a decisive thing, right? You want there to be a moment of like, what?
Stop.
Stop the press.
T-Rex.
Oh, yeah.
They fight.
Oh, my God.
Which is a great special effect.
Yeah, it's actually not as bad as you would have thought.
Shit, the T-Rex looks better than the Vietnamese does.
It's before Jurassic Park, yeah. So, yeah, they make their way through all of these things, and then they have to fight a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Oh, and how they do.
How did they beat the T-Rex? Because the shooting didn't help.
No, the shooting didn't help. I think he
Did he put a sword in his mouth?
Does he put it in his? No. Oh my. Oh, he realizes that the gun has a rocket launcher on it.
Yeah, rocket launcher to the belly,
or a grenade launcher or something.
Yeah,
and so he puts that, and then the variant. Speaking of more Ghostbusters vibe, very much a Zool, like when he's rescuing his the nerd girl, very Zool like. Oh, that's right. And then he rescues her, and then they're leaving, and then he's got to be the hero and go back one more time to turn off the machine. And they're like, no. I forget when they're finally like, okay, just go. Like something.
It's sending a giant stream of electricity into the sky, just like in Ghostbusters. For the record.
Oh, that's right. It's got. I forget it does like have an off switch. It's got these little wings on it. Because I remember when they're showing it to the Bob, they're like, check this out. And they like click these things in. And so when he's wrestling it at the end, he's fighting to reopen that, which breaks the circuit.
And he's getting the electricity's going through him. It looks like some stuff's happening to him. I mean, when that happened to Dennis Hopper, he disappeared. So it's happening to our hero. And then eventually he turns it off and he disappears. Yeah.
For a second. Yeah.
He disappears, enough for us to do he's gone. He sacrificed himself. And then he just reappears? So as to why that happened, I thought this would have had a more dramatic how to destroy the machine moment. He has to like crash it with a car because he's into cars, or use a sword to stab it, or rewire it. I just thought it'd be more dramatic than just him turning a switch while he's getting electrocuted. I don't know. Anticlimactic. The T-Rex is the big moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
So he goes away. He comes back. Whoa, what happened? The machine's off. And then out of nowhere, our good friend Dennis Hopper comes out in his Easy Rider outfit.
Yes, he does.
And he's like, oh, I was in the 60s. I was at Woodstock, man. It was great. You get an A, man. You got to destroy that machine, though. It's not okay. And then everyone's there, and the sheriff's there. And the sheriff was arresting the teacher for some reason. Assuming, I guess, he did some of this.
I think they're just, they don't know what the fuck is going on. And they're like.
But they're not arresting the kids. They're arresting the teacher.
I don't think they end up arresting him in the end either. I think they're harassing him just because he comes out of this school. And they're sitting around talking.
Hell no, we won't go. Hell no.
So this school, who knows what it looks like now? Like, I guess that it just looks like a school that's been trashed.
Nothing disappeared. So like all the jungle of Vietnam and like the pyramids are all still in the school.
And the kids are just like, don't tell anybody anything. What? Like there's gonna be some like you're gonna have to say something.
Man.
Let me see. Does he actually?
So he's supposed to destroy the device, but he doesn't. He just thinks, I'll just take it back to the junkyard. Why not destroy it?
How? Do you think he just
break it with a mallet? So he goes to bring it back.
No.
And then that's when
that thing would fight back. That thing is a part of the space-time continuum. You are incapable of destroying it. It would final destination you. Wow, they do just arrest Dennis Hopper.
Yeah. And then at the end, he's going to bring it back, and they're in the car with him and Ellie. The car runs out of gas. And she was like, yeah, but you can't just leave by the side of the road, right? And he's like, it's just a car.
Just a car.
We left out in our plot synopsis that throughout, this nerd girl, they become friends. And then there's the moment I said earlier where he stops and looks at her and says, how come we never talked? And she said, because you're into cars and I'm into books. But she didn't have a take her glasses off moment like you said. Like you thought she would take her glasses off and he would look at her and be like, oh, you are beautiful without glasses. That's the 80s way. They missed that opportunity.
Well, she takes her retainer out and kisses him.
Yeah.
Well, and it's kind of cool because, I think they just fall in love by just realizing that they like each other, and it's not because she's super hot. It's that they like spending time together, which is pretty rad.
They like, trying to save the space-time continuum. Here's a fun fact for you. Maybe you read this. The distributors of the movie in Sweden thought it should be marketed as a mix of Ghostbusters and Back to the Future, and it was subsequently renamed Time Busters.
Well, that's why that was my opening line.
Oh, I did not know that.
I said, we will be your Swedish Time Buster.
That's why. Got it.
Speaking of full circle people, yes, that's how we do
did
it here
it.
on Time Pop. Now, I am going to, so I was looking around, instead of doing my usual Rotten Tomatoes, there is some excited people on IMDb about this movie. This is a 6 out of 10 on IMDb.
What?
Yeah, Scott. Yeah.
It only had a 2-week run in the movie theaters, and it peaked at 14th. And back then, my friends, in 85, it wasn't like now. There weren't like a lot of movies coming out at the same time.
Yeah.
If you were rated 14th at best, I'd be surprised for 14 movies to be out at the same time. Although movies lasted longer, but not this one. This one is 2 weeks, which is more common today.
Yeah, well, and they were probably, what did it say when it came out? What, like, month? Did they try to summer blockbuster this, or did they? Well, no, they couldn't.
Oh.
Maybe they tried to dump it in February, but there was a bunch of Oscar movies back at the theater that month.
Back to the Future was a summer movie. I'll bet this was fall or winter. It doesn't say.
I bet they tried to come out the same week. They're like, you know what? People will go see Back to the Future, and then the next weekend, they'll come see our movie. It's like, no, they're going to go see Back.
Well, it says the critic wrote in August 1985. He talks about it, so it might have just been coming out early August. Maybe it was summer.
Maybe a late. But yeah, Back to the Future was probably on its 20th week well, no, it came out summer. But yeah, I mean, Back to the Future probably went from June to December that year in the theater.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There used to be commercials like, see it a second time.
Yeah.
It's Ghost. You liked Raiders of the Lost Ark? See it again. Relive the thrills. Oh, I'm sorry. It wasn't 13% of Rotten Tomatoes. It was 11%.
Well, here is a 10 out of 10 star review on IMDb, Scott.
Come on.
My Science Project is a great 80s sci-fi movie about a kid in high school who sneaks into an old Air Force junkyard and stumbles upon an alien device discarded in the 1950s fallout shelter and tries to turn it in as a science project. When his teacher, played by Dennis Hopper, finds a way to power the device, he zaps himself into another dimension, and from there, hell breaks loose. Eventually, the kid and his best friend, played by Fisher Stevens, find themselves battling their way through Roman gladiators, the Viet Cong, post-apocalyptic mutants, and even a Tyrannosaurus Rex in each room of their high school as they make their way toward the science hall to deactivate the device and save their town. Those who criticize the writing and dialogue miss its depth,
Wow.
as it is as much a movie about trust as it is about time travel.
Woo! Wow.
Woo!
Do you think the dinosaur scene is what got the guy into making the dinosaur Whoopi Goldberg film? Do you think he was like, man, I nailed that dinosaur. I can do it again.
It's not. I think it's like a Barney suit in that movie.
No, right.
Like, I think it's just fucking
You're correct.
terrible.
Oh man.
Here's a 3 out of 10. Let's get a reality check here. Really bad teen 80s flick. And that's and that's saying something. Story about some obnoxious teenager who finds a little box from a flying saucer that creates time-space distortions or something. Bad beyond belief dialogue, a virtually incomprehensible plot. I assume that's from a pre-release cutting. The film is barely 90 minutes and lazy acting. Some of the special effects are cool for 1985. I saw it primarily because of John Stockwell, a very handsome man who was very good in other 80s flicks, but he's lousy in this. He looks depressed and like he doesn't care. Fisher's wisecracks are a blessing. A total waste of time.
Wow.
Almost bad good.
When we were gonna watch this, I didn't know anything about it. My assumption, yours probably also, would be like, someone has to do a science project. Either he's really smart and by accident builds like a time travel machine, or like he's a slacker and accidentally taps into a thing that threatens the universe or the school, and then he ends up saving the day and getting an A in his project.
Yeah.
I mean,
or maybe he steals the nerds'
this would have been easy to make.
device. And yeah.
I mean, it's all there. An 80s film, the real genius. Yeah.
Oh my God. The last shot of this film is Fisher Stevens just in his like credits are long gone. I just looked up and there was no credits on the screen, and for way too long it's just Fisher Stevens in front of the his what do you call it when the cops take your picture? I can't think. What do you call that?
His mugshot.
His mugshot. Yeah, just him just doing a cheesy mugshot.
Man.
Holy shit.
Well, this was a film. Now, Desmond and I, for both of us to not like a bad 80s film, that's saying something, because we can hang with the summer schools and the Weekend at Bernie's and all the things.
I will watch Meatballs 2 again tonight.
Oh, I'll watch Meatballs 2 on a dime. I will watch it with you. 5 ways to. We should watch that together.
We absolutely should.
I know that film really well, more than any other Meatballs film for sure. Can we do a podcast on just that film?
I will do
Meatballs of minute to minute.
I will do a minute podcast of Meatballs.
It's a weird film. It's like particularly weird. No one else called it a pinky anywhere else in anything. Pee Wee Herman is the bus driver, like an alien, disco music, boxing match at a summer camp. It's the super Brooklyn-y Italian guys.
Oh yeah, it's got the Italian guy. It's got it's
a whole bunch of weird. All of it is so weird.
All right, everyone out there, I have a list going right now of movies. I'm starting a list of movies that I know are fucking terrible and I will watch any day of the week. So here's some movies that you should watch before you watch my science project.
Yeah.
Basketball.
Uh-huh.
The Breaks.
The Breaks.
Yeah, no one's heard of it. Check it out.
Wait, I think it sounds familiar.
White Boy in the Hood.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Major League 3, people. There is a third Major League movie, and I suggest you go find Scott Bakula at his finest. Stealing Harvard, Out Cold, Lovin' a 45, and the pre-mentioned Multiplicity.
Yeah.
Go watch those movies and then watch my science project. So, Scott, if you could turn your high school into a vortex of time travel nonsense, would you do that? Would you do this?
No.
Would you do my science project your high school?
I'm not doing any of this. There is no value to any of it. I'm out.
You would make out at a girl at an Air Force graveyard.
I'll make out with a nerd girl.
Oh, definitely.
Would you? Do you want in on this?
No, because it's all people who, again, like, it's funny when these time travel movies, when you need action in a time travel movie, and so the only thing that travels through time are horrible murderers.
When there's no normal people, there's no somebody who's just like reading the newspaper in 1945. It's only warriors and vicious predators from other times. That's all that makes it through. Not like a business guy or a kid or a dad on his way to work.
Oh, none of them. I mean, Cleopatra, maybe if the Neanderthal hadn't been protecting her from Vinny, maybe we would have seen some action there.
Wow. Well, it is time travel. Now I see why it's not in Barry's top 100.
He's got less than 100. This could be 99. He can have spot 85 to 98 empty.
We have enough time travel movies now where we can push this back into like the 350s, I think.
Yeah, sir. Even if you haven't seen 350 time travel movies, you can push this. Or are you talking about your time? You talking about 350th? Or are you talking about?
I'm just saying we can push it down the list to 350. Yeah.
Is it military time? Can we do 015?
What are you gonna do for this one? No, I'll give it a solid 2 or 3 or something.
I do think that this would have, I think for a group watch, I think this could be fun. If you're having a bad movie night with some buds and some brews and some more buds, you know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about.
Can you tell me what the lowest rating is so far?
Yes.
I want to make sure. I'm also curious.
I don't want to tell you what your lowest rating is because I want to see if you accidentally put this above.
I won't. I'll definitely go. But I'm just curious what my lowest. Can you tell me what movie it was, even if you don't give me the rating?
Hold on a second. Oh shit! God damn it!
I just don't remember what my lowest would be. I don't remember what else is Manadu. Otherwise, the lowest. Oh, maybe it's Blink.
No, it's Somewhere in Time.
Oh, Somewhere in Time's the lowest? What, I give it a 4? Let me guess, 4?
I want to see if you rate my science project above Somewhere in Time.
I'm not. I'll put it purposely lower.
What? That's why I'm not going to tell you. You're not going to have a.
Actually, I think Somewhere in Time offers more than my science project. The characters are.
But is it funner? Which one would you watch again?
Oh God, you're right. I would watch this again, but that's a better film, so that it evens out.
So I'll tell you, because I'm looking at it, so it's not fair.
Yeah.
For me to look at it and you not.
Okay.
You gave Somewhere in Time 245.
I did.
And I gave.
All right, I'll give Science Project 230.
Wow. See, I gave Somewhere in Time 330. I'm gonna give I have to give my Science Project a 345. This
Okay.
Because again, I would rewatch it if someone's like, you got to watch one of these movies again. I would watch my Science Project twice in a row before I would watch Somewhere in Time again.
Somewhere in Time drunk with friends is still not enjoyable. I get it.
Yeah.
And the time travel for that is weird. But you're right. These are some low fruit. Now, Somewhere in Time is considered a classic, but whatever. These are our opinions and we're entitled to them.
It's just like, because neither one of them are any good time travel wise. So it's like, as a base movie, would you rather watch a lovesick drama or a silly teen 80s movie? And we're going teen 80s movie every time, right?
It is more watchable.
Like, are you going to watch The Notebook before you watch My Science Project?
If you're going to go see some bad films before this on my list, I will give you Flash Gordon. I will give you Xanadu. I will give you the infamous Summer School. I will agree with Meatballs Part 2. Am I missing anything else that's bad and good? Oh, Staying Alive.
Oh, and Grease 2. Did you say Grease 2 already?
Grease 2, absolutely.
Grease 2, yeah.
I mean, that's a given. Staying Alive. I would have said Roadhouse, but now that's too easy because it's getting too much recognition.
Thank you so much, Scott. Thanks for bringing this to our attention. I am glad we watched it. We talked a lot of shit about this movie, but we're here for the good, the bad, and the ugly. The time travel was suspect at best, but things traveled through time. Some of them even Dennis Hopper went back to a previous movie.
The 60s. He was, and although someone getting ripped out of their time zone is normally a tragedy, he got back to the 60s, which was his happy place. And so it was a good thing. It's kind of like Blink.
You realize that this movie exists in the same universe as Easy Rider, right? Like, that's just a
it's canon. It's all canon.
It's just a fact now. Until next time, I'm Desmond McNeese.
And I'm Scott Lifton. See you at a better film.
Don't flame out.
So, what I've attempted to do here this year is to instill in you a basic scientific curiosity about the world that we live in. Harlan? Why don't you tell us about your science project?
I'm working on it.
To be opened by authorized personnel.
Hey, what's this piece of junk? Found it out at old Dawson Field. I figured maybe I could shine it up and pass it off to my science project.
I mean, it's some sort of power plant. I mean, this is generating power and light without heat, Michael.
How's that possible?
It's not possible.
Well, now that sounds like we're dealing with a time-space warp.
We went 2 hours into the future. What?
How's it work? Simple. You see, it's kind of like breaking through the barriers between time, space, and all dimensions.
Whoa, it's climbed out the back.
It's a time-space warp that's created by this gizmo that will warp something into our dimension, or we can travel through time and space.
Who the hell are you?
I'm the long arm of the law.
If I'm gonna wind up in another dimension like Barbarino, I'm going in that packet.
Warp expansion. Look, it's people from the past and the future, and we're all here together. This is like a crossroads of time and space. Wow.
Science Project.
Mixed and edited by Desmond McNeese for We Mixed It, LLC. Go to whatsoundsawesome.com